Hey, everybody, welcome back. I have an actress, model, fashion icon, and now author on my show today. Her name is Blanca Blanco, and she wrote the book called Breaking the Mold. And we're going to be talking to her about surviving immigration, racism, poverty, abuse, bullying, COVID, and so much more that she's been through. She's been through a lot, and her story is going to be inspirational. Her book is actually the winner of the Best Inspirational Book Literary Award from the Hollywood Global Festival. So congratulations on that, and welcome to the show, Blanca. How are you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, it's such an honor to be on your show, and I'm doing great. I just feel very, happy to see many great responses from journalists and shows like you that are like, supporting the book and are, getting back with to me how they read the book and they learned a lot from it.
Well, everybody has a story, and I think if we listen to more of everybody's stories, we can be inspired to write our own, not necessarily physically writing it, but write our own story and our own goals and what we want to accomplish in life and be the person I think we need to be. And we always seem to run into things, obstacles that kind of like detract us or stop us from pursuing that. And it's because we get scared. But when we see people like you that have been through so much, it just shows us that the human spirit can continue to grow, can continue to thrive. And it should inspire us all. So first of all, tell me about your story. Where did you immigrate from?
So I was born in California in Watsonville, and when I was 3 months old, we moved to Mexico. So I lived in Mexico when I was a child, and then my parents, when I was 8, they moved to the U.S. and we moved to Lake Chelan, which is in Washington State. It's a small little town. There was like only one stop sign there when we were living there. And so definitely we did experience a lot of, we were an immigrant family. We had the English, the language barrier. We also experienced a cultural barrier, but we tried to work so that way we can integrate in the community, not to forget our own identity, but just to be part of it and also to make things stronger for us. So that's where, from Mexico, we immigrated.
Wow. Now, when you went over there, did your parents give up your American citizenship, or did they keep it and have like dual citizenship, or they just kept the American citizenship?
No, I'm just an American citizen. When they moved to Mexico, we actually went to Mexico because we had a family member sick, and so that's what we moved. And then it took longer,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we never did like the legal paperwork because we were moving back eventually.
Well, that's good. I mean, that made it probably a little bit easier for sure, and you don't have to go through all of that again. Now, racism is something that is very popular pretty much everywhere. It's not only here in the United States, it's everywhere. I'm seeing it, and it's coming from, it comes from a lot of different cultures, but right now I know the biggest focus is here in America based upon other cultures that come here. What kind of things have you run into with racism, and how did it affect your life?
Well, definitely I experienced racism from when moving to Washington. I even had teachers I had a couple teachers that made very inappropriate comments that were very racist. And I have that in my book. I had a hard time with that chapter because I didn't want to use the terminology that they used on me, because it is the most offensive words you can use for any human. But I do have the words in my book. In Breaking the Mold, I just I deleted the chapter twice, and then I thought, no, it's still happening and it's my experience. I'm gonna leave it, and I did. But for me, it was challenging because I just felt, why am I treated different? As a kid, you don't understand why people are mean, And so I worked every day to not allow people's negativity to affect me. So I took little steps every day to be comfortable with myself, to do positive affirmations and know who I am. Like, this is me, I am, this is what I bring to the table, and I'm proud of it, But it just took a lot of positive self-talk and knowing that people's negative belief or about me or anyone in, of other cultures, it is definitely they're projecting their own insecurities, because they obviously don't understand that everybody's different. We're all different. We're not the same.
No, and I think our differences is really what can make us an amazing people all the way across, because we each bring something different to the table, and we all have different viewpoints, and we all have different experiences. And I think that's beautiful. I mean, one of the things I love to do is actually learn about the different cultures, the dress, the food, the traditions that they have, even just for Christmas. I mean, Christmas is celebrated differently in South America and Mexico than it is over in Europe and here in the United States. And some of these traditions are just so cool. And it's like, man, they know what they're doing. They're doing something, interesting and in the right direction. So I don't understand why people pick on everybody else based upon the culture. But I think one of the things that we could do to try to stop it is educating us more about those cultures, so it's not so foreign to everybody. I think people put up a wall when it comes to something that they don't understand. So it's easier to dismiss it than it is to accept it.
And also, people are trained to put things in boxes, to put people in labels and categories. So that usually trains, you to do that. Like as a child, you start doing the same thing, following the way that people are, basically labeling you. And so definitely education, like just letting people know that that's not appropriate to say that. It's not actually very offensive, because I had to do that a couple times, and the child that said something racist to me he didn't realize how what kind of a word that was. Actually, he was just hearing that, and like from his parents, for example, and so he never said it again, but definitely he did learn, like that it hurts people's feelings.
Sometimes we don't realize how impactful a word can be, but because we don't see people bleed from a word. We do see people bleed when they're physically injured. So sometimes it just doesn't it doesn't hit us as hard with words as it does necessarily with rocks or sticks.
Yeah, for sure, because people just throw words like it's just like, without thinking of the consequences, because yeah, like you say, you're not like throwing something physical, but it is emotional pain and physical pain are the same.
They are. And that's what I try to understand. I try to get people that are like in abusive relationships. You're like, oh, well, he just talks to me bad. Well, you know what? That's still abuse. You're still hurting. It may not be physical abuse, but you are being abused and you just don't think as good of yourself. So maybe you should see what the words can actually do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And now I know you've also been through like a lot of abuse and bullying too. That's something I have dealt with my entire life as well. And it's something I'd love to be able to stop. I just don't know how. I realize that a lot of times when people bully other people, it's because they got something in their lives that they are insecure about. So the only thing that they can do is take it out on people that they feel is weak. So that makes them feel stronger, like they have some type of control over something.
Yeah.
What type of abuse and bullying have you faced, and how did you deal with it?
Well, I know, for example, when I was in school, I would get bullied for being different, for having an accent, for having my name twice. And every day, what I had to work on was to be remembering who I am. I need to have a strong foundation. I need to remember these people that are talking about me, saying hurtful things, they're not gonna detect my happiness, because I can't allow that to happen, because I cannot blame anyone for my emotions, because the way that I think and feel is me. So if I have a strong foundation and ignore these people, it just like bullies, they're doing that because they're projecting their own insecurities, and they just, when you ignore them, they tend to just go away to the next person. And so I just pretty much I worked on being as direct with people, and also remembering that it is my life. I can blame others. If I feel sad because they treated me bad, then, you know, I need to work on myself because these people cannot control my happiness.
You know, when I was dealing with my bullying, I tried not to let them see that they were getting to me, because if I did that, it gave them what they wanted. And I was hoping that they would eventually get to the point where they would just kind of walk away and lose interest. But it actually grew to something a lot more physical. I actually had foam insulation blown in my face, and I have a scar all the way down here. I lost this eyebrow, and I still have a chunk of hair right over here that does not come in. So, I mean, I have some bad things that have happened to me. I've had fertilizer thrown in my mouth, so I have scars on my mouth. I was cut. I was hit with a car. I mean, people got really, really nasty with me. And I hope to God that it didn't ever get that violent for you. I hope that it was just more, I hope that, I mean, it sucks that anything happened, but I'm just hoping that it stayed at a level to where it was just more verbal.
Yeah, I definitely did get abused, like with physical stuff from a family member. He will beat me with the whip and with the belt and anything that was around him. So I definitely dealt with that at home. And so not all the time, you know, abuse is not, the thing is with abuse, it's not every day, but even if it happens once a week, it feels like every day. So I had to just really do the positive affirmations, because when you're being abused, you feel like I know for me as a child, I didn't feel that I was worth anything. I just thought, well, you know, I didn't have confidence in my abilities. But even though I was feeling, you know, these emotions, I took steps every day to feel more secure and valued, at least with myself, you know. And so that's what I did, because I thought, well, you know, if I'm living in poverty and I experience abuse sometimes and it affects me, well, I have so many problems. So according to research, I would be just repeating history. And I didn't want that. I wanted to have my own destiny, break the cycle of poverty and abuse. And so I just prepare myself every day. I worked on my goals, sub goals, little goals every day. So that way I can improve myself, educate myself, and then know that it's not okay to hit a child, you know, but just my determination to change that. And I never told anyone about, you know, being hit, until now in my book. So it's definitely like, you know, a surprise for a lot of people.
So I'm watching what you've done, what you've been through. And honestly, there's a lot of people today that I've talked to that say they can't get anywhere because they were poor or where they lived. And I've seen a lot of people that have gone through that same place where they lived and managed to get out of it. So I believe in my particular instance that it's not necessarily our surroundings that keep us there. It's ourselves that keep us there and playing a victim to what we experience. You seem to have been able to rise above it. You're an actress, you're a model. I mean, that's really freaking cool. You didn't let your history keep you down. You've used it to push you to the future. How did you break that? How did you keep that in mind, that I can do better? I can do this.
Well, one of the things that I did was change my perspective. Was like, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. Like whenever I felt like I was a victim as a child, I just felt like I was weaker. Like that was it for me. That's what I felt. But when I saw myself, I'm a survivor. You know, this is not, people don't go through this every day. So I'm gonna like, I have determination to you know, to move forward. I want to, you know, learn, you know, move from this, and it's gonna give me experience and skills. That's all I can take. Every day I will work on it. And I remember I would be in the school bus, going to school. Like I would probably cry every day when I was a child. And so, and I remember just like it helped me, you know, just to kind of release it. So I definitely, you know, wanted to, you know, and with my book, I feel a lot of children that keep things behind the closed doors, for just to know that eventually things come out to surface,
Well, congratulations for doing that for sure. I'm so glad you didn't let it take you out. And I know that a lot of your past experiences are exactly why you wrote your book. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, when I was a child, I would write journals, and I wanted to write a book when I got older. And so, well, the Woolsey fire in Malibu burned all my journals, but I had one journal left. And during the lockdown, I had more time to think of my life lessons and the tools that helped me. And just throughout the years, people messaged me, they want advice. So I thought, it's time to do the book now. So I'm like, okay, at least I have a year, because we have the lockdown. Normally I'm like traveling for work, so I don't have time to sit and just focus on being in front of the computer for 8 hours a day or 12. So what I did, I just sat the whole lockdown and typed my book. And I thought, okay, I think I'm seeing so much poverty and abuse and discrimination. It seems like all of a sudden it got worse and worse. And I thought we need more stories of hope. And hopefully when people read my story, they can see that, if she did it, I can do it. Like, I mean, I know journalists, they've been reading my book and they're like, wow, like you had so many, like, so many things going on in your life. How did you make it to, be, to where you are? For me, was education. I knew that I was gonna I wanted to come and be an actress, but before I did anything for that, I needed to have my own foundation to feel secure. And that was my education. So when I finished my master's degree, and how did I go to college? Well, I applied for scholarships. Every day I worked on it, the scholarships, because that was the only way. I couldn't, get any financial support from my family. I mean, my father worked in the fields. He made $4 an hour for a family of 7. And my mom was a caregiver, a babysitter. And so I knew that the steps that I would take is preparing to do scholarships. And every day I had a mentor. I would show my letters, like, the letter of intent, the reference letter, everything. Like, can you please double check the application? And I will rewrite, and until it was like correct. And I got all my education paid because of that.
So what do you hope people take away from your book when they're done reading it?
Is that we can go through challenges, we can go through traumas in our lives, but we can still come out as a survivor and thrive in life.
Now, I know the book is all about you, but you got to have one favorite chapter in it. What's your most favorite chapter that you wrote?
Oh, one of my favorite chapters is the chapter of a cooking chapter, because I talk about my mom. We did the COVID like on Zoom last year for Thanksgiving, and so I share her recipes. And just growing up, even though I had a crazy life, I guess, with everything going on, the thing that kept me sane was my mom, because her love was very strong. And she was always very supportive. And so I just wanted to do a chapter on cooking, because growing up, it was like a we would cook together, make tortillas, do birria, all these Mexican dishes that she would make. And it would be like a family, like the 3 of us with my sisters and my mom just cooking. So I decided to do a chapter on that, because I'm not the greatest cook. So it's not like this because I wanted to show my cooking skills, but I just wanted to show about the dynamic that took place in the kitchen with my mom, her dishes that are handwritten, a picture in the book. And then also that was the last COVID, that was like the last Thanksgiving we had together. And it was COVID Thanksgiving, because we were on Zoom.
So since you that is one of your favorite, what's your favorite dish that your mom makes for you?
So my mom, she used to make tostadas. I have always liked tostadas, which is like a corn tortilla deep fried, and then it has rice and beans and a meat. Like it has like carne asada, like beef or chicken, and then you put like the vegetables on top with sour cream and Mexican cheese, and she did amazing salsas, which is like I love spicy. Like I'm like I eat spices for breakfast too, like hot sauce. And so that was always, whenever I would go there, she would make that with rice and beans like on the side. Because yeah, she that was my favorite dish. And also the tamales, which I have the recipe in the book, in Breaking the Mold.
See, I hope people go check it out for that too, because I know we all love to eat, and I love different foods from different cultures, because it's interesting, it's fun, and it helps me understand your culture by the way that we eat, because that's honestly a universal thing, but we all have a different way of making food, and I think that's so special.
Yes,
So
and another thing that I describe in the chapter of cooking is that, my mom, she would cook amazing food, but with time, she started changing her cooking habits, because some is very not healthy for you. So she would incorporate healthier, but I didn't include the healthier versions. I just thought I will do the very authentic Mexican food. But definitely, it's something that we talked about with my mom, because she was trying to eat healthy so that way she could stay longer with us. And eventually, she passed away from a heart failure.
that's too bad. I'm so sorry to hear that. But at least you have the memories of her, and that will continue to live on, and that's something that never dies. So
Oh yeah, that's the only thing that we will have from every person, memories.
yeah. Now,
Mhm.
your book won the literary award. The winner of it's the Inspirational Book Literary Award from the Hollywood Global Festival. How did you even get into that situation to receive that award? Did you submit your book, or was it just kind of nominated?
Yeah, I submitted my book, and then it was like it got the award.
How does it
Yeah.
feel? How does it
Yeah,
feel to do that?
it was nice, because it was my first show that I submit to, Yeah.
Nice. Well, tell everybody how they can find out more about you, and how they can get your book too, because that's very important.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Blanca Blanco actress, or you can follow me on Twitter, Blanca Blanco, and it is my real name. It is not a stage name. And you can get my book at Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
Well, Blanca, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of the show and tell me your amazing story. I hope you've inspired people to continue, no matter what their challenges are, to keep going, because there is always that light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. And it's just a matter of how much passion we put into getting there. So, your story is an inspiration to us all. Congratulations on all the success that you've had with your book and in your career. And I'd love to be able to get you back on in the future.
I would love to, for sure.
All right, guys, I have to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this, so don't go anywhere.